Can you go ping Josh? Yeah, I'll go ping Josh.
Ping Josh. Hello. Oh, this is my first time doing YouTube live stream. I've never done this before. Yeah. Is this your first time, Ben?
Well, I got live stream before, but it's not really for people to watch. It's just for myself to stream and then watch it on television and we play games. I was using it for like Jackbox. So yeah.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. Let's all be gentle with one another. Simplicity. Cool. Where's Josh? Should we just start? I mean, or you want to wait for him?
I guess I guess let's wait like 5 minutes for Josh. And if he doesn't join, then we'll start. Yeah, we'll wait until 11. Let's do it until 1111 since it's like 11:04. 1111. We just start.
But we're losing people though.
Yeah. Okay.
I think let's just start. Where's Josh?
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, hi guys. Thanks for joining. I'm gonna just start with a little bit of introduction first, right? So I think yeah, sorry. Anyway, I think I'm just gonna start with a little bit of introduction first. I think a lot of people have been asking us about IreneDao and SoCol. I'll just give a very brief summary, and then I have some comments to say also regarding like all the recent things that happened, right? So I think the first thing is that I think okay, so IreneDao, the reason why we started it, I think a lot of people just took it at face value. I think I've known Irene, for the past 6 years. I've known her since when we first started. I was like our first startup, which was 6 years ago. Since then until now, I know her very long, and I think like this is the most stressed out I've seen her. Over the past few days, the two of us, we could barely sleep because there was so much things happening. And I think especially for Irene, who actually she put herself as like a guinea pig to basically test this proof of concept, right? We wanted to kind of test this concept of letting creators harness the power of NFTs, right, for the communities. And Irene, she volunteered herself to kind of prove this IreneDao concept. And by doing that, you see, so many people actually sent so many hateful messages. They did so many things to her. And I think, I just don't think that's very nice, right? A lot of the words that we see on Twitter, a lot of these comments that people are saying, I just think it's not fair. We're trying to build something over here, and yeah, we're trying to build something over here, and people are just just hating on it without seeing the true value of it. So I think that's the first thing that I want to say. Yeah, and yeah, so basically I just wanted to get that out first. Yeah. All right. So Irene, you want to give an introduction? You want to give an introduction about all of these things, about SoCo, yeah, all of these things. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. So I'm Irene, the co-founder of Soco. So I have been an Instagram influencer for the past 6 years. Actually, I started in 2016. So during that process, I kind of built a very good brand relationship and also have a pretty strong influencer network in Southeast Asia. So I entered into crypto space earlier last year, which is 2021, like January. Yeah, you might know me as CMO of Konomi Network. That's how I started my crypto journey, right? And then after that, I came to realize many of the pain points for Web2 social media platforms can actually be addressed by Web3 technology. Yet there isn't any SocialFi killer app on the market yet. Actually, before I started Soco, I've been talking to a lot of people about what do you think of SocialFi, and their response are pretty negative because there's just no killer app in the space yet. But I do believe, as a creator, I do believe there is a huge opportunity here for us to really create a game changer. So actually, that's why we started Soco. And IreneDao, right, is just a proof of concept for the Soco because people be really skeptical about this fan economy, or whether it's really gonna be bullish in the Web3 ecosystem. And also and we envision, because I think all the creators, artists, celebrities will be able to connect with their fans, just like how I did, right? That's why I think that's the biggest significance of IreneDao. So just some introduction about SoCo, right? SoCo stands for Social Collectible, and it's a one-stop platform where all the creators on traditional platforms can convert their existing contents and create new contents as NFTs. And my role in this project is scaling our projects through my networks, be it top investors or top line influencer. Actually, for the past few months, I've been really busy talking to other investors to convince that this is a brilliant idea. And I also been talking to a lot of like my creator friends and also some of the celebrities to tell them that Web3 social media is really going to change their life. And of course, I partner with Ben because Ben has pretty strong tech background. And probably Ben wants to give an introduction about yourself. Yeah. I can't hear you, Ben. We can't hear you.
Hello. Yeah.
I
Okay,
think
I'll give a
yeah.
quick introduction of myself, and also tell a little bit about the story of how Soco started, how IreneDao started, and where we're heading. Right. So I come from a very different background from Irene. I used to be a national athlete. I used to be a track and field runner. I used to run middle distance. Back in my high school days. But eventually I realized that I was more interested in computer science. So when I was in the army in Singapore, we have 2 years of military service, right? So during those 2 years, I actually self-studied computer science, and I write a few small apps and projects. These apps and projects, I made a small portfolio and I sent it to a few places. Eventually, it got noticed by this accelerator program by the Singapore government. So at a point in time, it was a government agency called Infocom Investments. So I joined the accelerator program and I did a startup. So at the startup, we actually had a co-working space, right? It was called Bash. And over there, I was recruiting people. I was always meeting people around there. Irene was actually, she was actually at the same space at a point of time because her friend was actually doing a startup within the same space as well. So that was actually 6 years ago, and that was how I met Irene. So we eventually became best friends. That was 6 years ago. And at the point when I met her, right? I mean, now you guys know her as having tons and tons of followers both on Twitter and also Instagram. But when I first met her, she only had 300 followers. So actually, if you scroll back a lot of it, right, a lot of the photos are actually I'm actually the one helping her take the photos, right? Yeah, I know some people always ask on Instagram like, who's the person who's taking the photos? A lot of times it's actually me. So yeah. So anyway, so since that point of time, right? So I think between myself and Irene, since that point of time, we've basically did a lot of influencer events, like even overseas and whatever, right? We did a lot of influencer events, brand partnerships, brand campaigns, social media campaigns. Over the past 6 years. So and we basically work with every major brand in Southeast Asia. So I think that's a space, the influencer, the creator economy space that I feel that we are, we're quite familiar with, right? And that was also something that we wanted to work on. So anyway, afterwards, this was 6 years ago when I met Irene. Eventually, we got funded by the Korean government, right? Our startup got funded by the Korean government. We were doing an AI emotion recognition startup. So we flew over to Korea. We tried to set up a business over there with the support of the Korean government. But eventually, it didn't work out, right? Because it's kind of hard to do business. At the point of time, I was only 21 years old. I wasn't really that experienced in running a business. So eventually, we came back. Irene went to do iron ore trading. And myself, I was eventually scouted by BNP Paribas. BNP Paribas is like one of the largest banks in Europe, right? I got scouted by their global markets team, and I became like the youngest ever PhD level quant, probably in any top investment bank. So my role over there was basically I was using AI. I was using natural language processing to analyze annual reports, earnings call transcripts, to kind of like detect events within there for the traders, for the sales, and for the clients. So that was my job for about 3 years, right? I did a few AI related projects. So afterwards, once I like towards the end of my time in BNP Paribas, a VC came and contact me, and the VC basically asked me to go back and do startups again. So that was what I did. I went back to do a startup, but this was 2 years ago, and unfortunately, I picked travel as a vertical. So I got funding and I tried to build a travel startup. Within 3 months, we actually built like the largest platform of multi-day tours. in Southeast Asia, right? Multi-day tours are the kind of like package tours you see with Chan Brothers or whatever. Those people in Singapore, you know, right? So so basically that was what I was doing. And it wasn't growing as fast as I would like it to be because it was COVID and everything. So yeah, so eventually I kind of freed myself from the founder service agreement, and then I was just chatting with Irene. So I invested in cryptocurrencies back in 2016. But I was just more of like an observer, because if you look at trading floor, right? When I was working in BNP Paribas for 3 years, while I was working over there, I can't buy stocks, I can't exchange too much money. The only thing that I could kind of like buy and kind of observe was cryptocurrencies. So I've been just observing the space. Last year, Irene actually got into cryptocurrencies because she was hired by this company called Konomi, right, where she served as a CMO for a period of time. Right. So Irene also got to know about cryptocurrencies. She got to know about blockchain, and we were just discussing about it. We're discussing about the potential of all of these technologies, and especially how it relates to us, because we were doing a lot of things in the creator economy space. So eventually, we were looking at these things, and we realized that look, there's a huge gap, right, in the creator economy space that can actually be solved by technologies like NFTs. So so that's basically it. We started this, about like two plus months ago. We started it. We were just thinking about how we could actually apply NFTs to kind of help creators, connect with the communities, help them to monetize, right? And I think since then we have actually built quite a lot. We're looking to launch our testnet this Friday, 21st January. And yeah. So anyway, before that, before I talk more about SoCo, right, maybe I'll just share a little bit more about the story of IreneDao. I think that's just what a lot of you guys are here to hear about, right? The story of IreneDao. So IreneDao is actually a very interesting story. So IreneDao, we actually started because initially when we were doing the website, we needed to set up a link to the Telegram group. So we weren't kind of ready for the Telegram yet. But somehow some of Irene's fans, some of Irene's fans and some people from this group called Big PP DAO, right? They kind of like found the Telegram group, and then they basically started like posting a lot of memes and everything inside the Telegram group. So we were kind of observing it, right? And of course, because this is like crypto Twitter audience, right? And crypto people, and they were posting like the same kind of copy pastas. They were posting like the same paragraph, the same phrases again and again, right? So we were thinking like, okay, people are posting these same phrases over and over again. We should make a sticker about it, right? And because a lot of them were actually also Irene fans, they were making like their own stickers, right, with Irene inside, with obviously all of these catchphrases like your GM, like your whack me and anything like that. So because of that, right, we kind of got the idea like, hey, look, this is actually like a huge meme, right? It has lots of meme potential in taking Irene photos and putting all of these things on top of it. So we started our own collection, right? So ourselves and the interns, we kind of like hack something together. We put all of the the Photoshop cropping quality, please forgive us. It was just we weren't really focused on the Photoshop quality. It's all for the memes, right? So we were just really focused on doing that, and coming up with all of these stickers for people to use. And it turned out to be really popular, right? It turns out that if you give people the sticker with the copy pasta inside, they stop doing copy pasta. They just keep spamming the stickers. Which I thought it was cool.
Actually we have around 1,000 installs in just 4 days, and I didn't even like post it on my Instagram or like to my friends. It's just like within all the investor network and within our community. Yeah, and it's pretty amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was quite crazy, right? We eventually reached like 2,000 plus installs, right? This is not even the users of the stickers, like installs, right? People were just spreading, because we look at our SoCo Telegram group, there were like 200 people, but 2,000 people installed our sticker pack. Where did it come from, right? Obviously there were a lot of people who installed it and didn't join our SoCo Telegram group. And eventually this sticker pack got the attention of this user on Twitter, which is basically the GOAT, right? The greatest of all time, libEVM. So this guy, he basically he found out of this sticker pack, and he contacted Irene, right? He said, look, like he loves this sticker pack. He wants to make NFTs out of it. So initially, when he contacted us with the idea, Irene and we were kind of hesitant about it, right? Because we were
especially me. I was like my first my first response. I have to like talk about it. Right? So my first response is, really, you want to sell my sticker? Who is gonna buy it? And then he just say, trust me, I will buy it. And I believe that many people will buy it. But I was still quite like surprised. I'm like, what the yeah. Anyway, yeah, continue.
Yeah. So this was Lip EVM, right? He contacted us, and then he told us he wanted to do a sticker. So we were discussing, and he was like, maybe we should do a sticker and whatever. But one thing that was stopping us was that it kind of felt like a cash grab, right? If let's say we sell a sticker at, like, 1 ETH or whatever, people will be like, oh, like, this is a cash grab. Aren't you guys supposed to be focusing on your product, right? In fact, we were getting a lot of feedback from investors like, oh, are you like, you shouldn't be doing stickers, right? Like, you shouldn't be doing stickers. You should be focusing on your product. So I was just thinking about it because I clearly understand the meme potential, right? I spoke to the Lip EVM behind the scenes, and I was like, yeah. So I was talking to Lip EVM behind the scenes. Wait, sorry, Rachel, what did? Yeah, okay, yeah, Lip EVM. You want to come and talk? Come on, Lip EVM. Yeah, come, Lip. Can you join? Hey.
Howdy.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Lip. Yeah. So I think
Howdy.
let Lip talk about the story, right? Since he's the OG person who came out with the NFT the idea. Yeah.
Sorry guys, I'm not a grill, so apology for that. But essentially what happened was I was browsing the Twitters, and then somehow this sticker pack kind of caught my eye. I was like, who has the audacity to kind of put Irene on the sticker? And I looked up this. I was like, this is a really good marketing scheme. And I'm a dev by trade, but I wanted to learn some marketing tricks. So I was like, well, this is actually a really, really good kind of good process to make things viral. So I tried to look it up, and I found this company called Soco. Wasn't really familiar with the whole thing because there wasn't much information on the Twitter. There wasn't much information on the Telegram, and I kind of just made a little caption. It's like, okay, how can I buy this token? And then I continued my deadlifts, and then I checked my phone again, like everyone does. And then I think Irene liked it. I was like, whoa, why did she like it? This is completely random. And I checked her profile, and then she was the co-founder of Soco. And it's like, this is the marketing goat. But then after chatting with her, I realized that it was actually Benjamin who was the marketing goat. So hats off to Benjamin.
No, it's just a huge meme. Yeah.
But then it was just really hilarious because like I dug into the Twitter, and then you guys said that you guys had 2K installs, but the Telegram group, as you mentioned, only had like 200 installs. Sorry,
200 members. Yeah.
200 groups. The Twitter had 200 followers, but you had 2K downloads. So I was like, and then this was just right after Gozali, and then I was like, this has huge meme potential. And I just finished my projects. Like I had a previous NFT project. I was like, I'm kind of bored, so let's kind of just try it out and see how it goes. And then I just contacted Irene. I naturally, like, I had to kind of massage the whole storyline, and I had to act like, hey, I'll appoint myself as your CMO, like and then it sort of worked, I guess, like just like kind of like a retard, like just I'll be your CMO or something.
Yeah. Anyway, it was really good. So anyway, we were just thinking about it, right? The initial offer from there. But I was, discussing with Irene also a lot behind the scenes, especially towards, the investors. How are you gonna answer them if, let's say, they say, what are you doing? Why are you selling stickers? So I was discussing with Lip afterwards, and I was just thinking about this, right? So what if this sticker pack, what if this NFT that we're doing is not like cash grab, but rather we give it for free, and we use this as like kind of like a social experiment, a proof of concept to what we're doing at Soco, right? This way, it kind of like, the investors won't think that we're distracted from, Soco. We're actually doing this as an extension to Soco. So I proposed this to Lip, I proposed this to Irene, and Irene reluctantly agreed at the last moment. So I was yeah.
Yeah, really a super difficult decision for me because, to be honest, right, the sticker quality is not that high. And after Liv sent me the version of the final design, I was like, I can really see all the white space in between my hair or my because it's a green background, right? But then Liv just says, it looks nice. It looks like a card, like people would want to collect it. I would say, fine, or whatever, just go ahead, because nobody knows how to do marketing for SocialFi because they're really not an example, right? We can just learn from it, right? That's why we have to really create some marketing campaign that nobody has ever done before. Then it can be successful, right? And the result was I would say it's pretty amazing. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
very
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yeah. In fact, I was thinking, like, the imperfections actually make it perfect, because if you have it too perfect, it feels too corporate, it's like nicely cropped and everything. I actually like the imperfection and like all the badly cropped stuff. So yeah, so basically we started it as that, to make sure that we don't make it a cash grab, right? So in order to make it not a cash grab, we made sure that we give it out for free. We did a free mint. So Lip basically hacked together the whole contract in less than a day. I did the website soon after, and then just allow people to kind of mint on the website. And we basically, from the start to end, I think we did it in, like, less than a day, right? It was like evening, and after the next morning we kind of like launched it. In fact, when we launched it, right, Irene was not even there, because Irene was taking her swimming lessons, and then she come in like, what, the DAO is launched already. I guess she didn't expect that it's gonna be so fast, because Lim also needed to go somewhere, right? Remember, like you were busy with something, and you said like, oh, can I publish it now, because I need to go for something, right?
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
like I assumed there was going to be an influx of Discord users, so I had to give it like 1 or 2 hours. But I wasn't aware. I wasn't.
Yeah, and I was thinking like maybe I need to retweet or something, right? In case nobody want to buy it. But then after came back, it's just all gone. I don't even have one for myself. But luckily, some of our friendly DAO members sent me some Irene passes so that I can have my own pass to join the Discord group. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty interesting. Like very interesting
Yeah.
experience.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the retweet was more so to solidify that you were behind it. It wasn't like a full scam from me, because I didn't want to look like
Yeah.
like a bad actor as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that was important. I think and what we really didn't expect was that how fast it actually gained traction, right? So I remember, like, after we published it, we did the website and everything. It was minted completely in like half an hour, right? It was half an hour, it was completely gone. And then like the Discord group just started going crazy. Of course, like I think with all of this popularity, there was also a lot of hatred. I think a lot of people, they didn't really understand what we were trying to do with IreneDao at that point of time. But I guess, eventually there were people who kind of dug deeper, especially the people in the DAO, right? The people in the DAO, they were kind of asking questions like, what is Soco? Why are the co-founders of Soco doing IreneDao, right? When they kind of dug deeper, and then we kind of explained, and more people actually get to understand this. And also, recently we had a lot of media come and talk to us like, why are you starting IreneDao, and like
Yeah.
all of these kind of things, right? So I guess that kind of puts a lot more clarity. There's also one more person that I'd like to shout out. And this is 0x Scania, whose name is Josh. So Josh, yeah. So Josh, actually, I think Lip, you actually had the initial conversation with Josh, right?
So what happened was I just got swamped by Discord. So I'm not really a good Discord manager, because that's not the tool of my trade. And I think 10 minutes into launching, what happened was there was like an army of simps just kind of berating the whole Discord, like doing like a bunch of copy pastas. It was getting to the point where even with the 30-second slow mode enabled, like you just could not read anything. And I think Josh reached out to me. I forgot it was via DM, so did he tag me specifically? And he said, hey, I can help out. And I was like, why not? And kind of just gave him full mod access, like without any real vetting. And so it was really, really lucky that this kind of turned out positively. So like, thanks, Josh, very much. I think this probably
Yeah.
would have failed without you.
Yeah, we're still waiting for Josh to come on the stream, but yeah, Josh, honestly, he was really like the MVP. I was so impressed by what Josh did, because after the launch, I think we were kind of busy with running Soco and everything, and I came back and I saw that Josh set up a Twitter. Josh was moderating. Josh was like on 5 channels replying to people at one time. And he posted like 20 tweets in like one day. He was just on a flurry, and basically getting, like, he was like the one man holding up IreneDao, and I was so impressed. And then afterwards, myself and Irene, we had a chat, and we just offered Josh, a job to kind of join Soco, right? And I'm very happy to see that Josh is now part of the Soco team. Very very impressed with what he did over there. Yeah. So I think that the DAO was a really interesting thing, because within the DAO, people were they were talking to each other, and we kind of see like a lot of the community members, right? The people who were in the crypto Twitter community, they come in because they kind of understand that this is a meme, simping itself, the whole like, oh, I'm a simp and I joined IreneDao, that kind of thing. It's already all a meme, right? It's as in, it's really all a huge meme, and I think people who kind of get it, they understand that this is a meme, and this is actually part of something bigger. Yeah. So Irene, maybe you want to talk about like what you felt about the DAO, right? When you first realized there were a ton of people and then you go in and start posting messages.
I was amazed, because like I've been influencer for 5 years, and many people said, "Oh, I want to create a fan club for you," and I would say, "No, I don't want to do that. Right? I feel it's like too complicated. I don't feel really comfortable talking to strangers." But this DAO thing is just amazing because the people inside the DAO is so bonded with each other, right? And they just like do everything like for you, and that they really think like how it really benefits Soco and how it benefits Irene, instead of they think, oh, I just want to pump and dump the Irene pass. That's why I feel like we're quite touched, and really thanks everyone for all the support.
Yeah. I think the community spirit within IreneDao was definitely something that was very interesting. I think Lip, you have more experience with DAOs, right, and how DAOs work. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
I wouldn't call them DAOs. It's more like a multi-sig with snapshot.
Yeah.
But it's more like a lot of the protocols. It's like this community building process, and a lot of times these kind of serendipitous events, like these chaotic events, kind of just happen out of thin air. And oftentimes, like the best ideas are formed from the random discussions on Discord. Like a lot of our protocol ideas, like in my past protocol ideas, were actually formed from just shit talking with my friends. Like I launched the previous NFT project, which I don't want to show here, simply because I was shit talking with our friends, and that kind of gained. I think I raised about 500K in 24 hours, which was quite insane in itself because that was never really intended to raise money. It was more like a, haha, look at this funny thing. But yeah, like a lot of times these like community building creates a lot of these chaotic but very, I guess, organic discussions, and it's just really crazy to see how far this thing has come.
Yeah. Talking about the this serendipitous events, right? I think one thing that a lot of people have been talking about is the Ghazali IreneDao Ghazali collab, right? I think this has been like the number one thing, like the moment we started the IreneDao, right, when we started the chat, everybody was asking like when, like people were just asking all over like when can collab with Ghazali and when can collab with Ghazali, right? So I think Irene and myself, we saw everybody, like there was so much interest in collab with Ghazali, and Irene eventually she sent the tweet to Ghazali and say like we would like to extend an open invitation to kind of collab with each other, right? And I think this whole thing has been just incredible. I think some DAO members also, DAO members in Indonesia and whatever, also kind of helped this, to reach out, to kind of talk to the teams on both sides, right? From outside IreneDao side and also on Ghazali team side, to kind of negotiate, to kind of get all of these things together. I think that's really amazing, right? Like how they can get all of this this whole IreneDao Ghazali collab actually up and coming. So right now we have one proposal in the IreneDao, right? The voting is underway, but this vote is basically going to formalize like the intent to do a collaboration with Ghazali, right? Of course, this is subject to subject to travel restrictions, subject to safety, and subject to schedule and whatever, right? But of course, I think it kind of shows the intent to do a collab with Ghazali, whether or not it's like a meetup, whether or not it's like a collection or whatever. So yeah. So yeah. Irene, do you want to start talking a little bit about Soco? Or do anybody else have any more questions about about IreneDao? Do you guys want to talk about IreneDao, or should we talk about like how IreneDao relates to Soco right now?
I think people are just here to see if I'm a real person, and I know it's it's just like ridiculous, right? Because people who've been following me on Instagram know I have been active posting photos, show my face for 4 or 5 years, and this bunch of people, I don't know, like they just say, oh, because they see someone stole your photo and post it on some AliExpress, right? And obviously they are scammers, and they just say, oh, Irene is just some like model, they just hire her, and there's some dude behind this account. I just feel like the accusation is pretty ridiculous, and I was thinking that nobody's gonna believe it, right? But actually, people really think I'm a fake person or I'm like a dude, and that's why I have to do this live stream just to prove that I'm a real person, which is, I don't know, but yeah. But anyway, I'm here today to answer all the questions, all the guys for the support. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, you guys have your answer, right? I think today we're doing this live stream. It's not that we are bowing to pressure to basically prove that Irene is a real person. Honestly, I mean, it's super obvious. You just need to go to Instagram, you go to YouTube, like literally the top YouTube video is talking about Irene quitting her job to do this startup with me, right? To do Soco. And I think like people are just so lazy to spend like 5 minutes just to verify that Irene is actually a real person. So I think it's just ridiculous. People would rather trust a random screenshot. I don't even don't even know what it is, right? People just sell Irene's photos on like Taobao and they just screenshot and they say that this is a man, right? So yes, it's kind of ridiculous how all these kind of things. So I'll just say it one more time, right? I think Irene, she has been very, very brave in basically using herself as a guinea pig, right? She put herself out there, using herself as a guinea pig to kind of test this concept, right? The thing is that now, obviously, looking back, right, this whole concept, we have proven this concept that NFT, creator economy, like creating IreneDao was actually a really good idea. But back then, Irene taking a huge risk to start this thing and using herself as the first example, right? She really took a lot of risks and she's trying to build something. She has like a vision. She wants to kind of fulfill that. And you look how many people have just said so many hurtful things to her. So many people have like done so many bad things to her. So yeah, I think I'm just very disappointed that the community for all these things that they've said to Irene. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's all right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe I guess you guys have a lot of questions right now. Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, is Josh coming? I mean, he's like.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We can talk. We can just. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Probably you can answer some of the questions. Yeah. Who's this? Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's look at the questions right now. Okay, so the first question is, what do you think about IreneDao, the OpenSea account that copied all the NFTs, mirrored, and selling them now? Okay, I'll just give a comment first. I'll let Irene comment later. I think the first thing is that it's a good sign that your project has a copycat, right? It means that people think that it's popular enough that it's worth a cash grab. That said, I think all of these derivative projects, right, like IreneDao, the flipped around Irene, the fake IreneDao, which actually ranks higher than us on Google for some reason, right? All of these fake Irene stuff. These people, if you want to buy all of these NFTs, I think it's just important to note, right? For IreneDao, we don't take any of the profits. All of the firstly, it was a free mint. We give it out to people for free. Second is that all of the profits from the royalties on OpenSea, we're actually giving them back to the DAO, right? And the DAO actually gets to decide how they want to spend the funds, right? So by buying all of this for IreneDao, you're just giving a random person, right, with no creativity, who stole this idea without the concept, right? We did this as like a proof of concept. They did it as a copycat. And you want to make this guy rich. I think that's not really a smart thing to do. Yeah. So Irene, you want to comment on that?
No, it's good. I mean, there are a lot of scam projects out there. Yeah, nothing to comment.
Okay, so the second question, will IreneDao NFT holders be whitelisted for Soco community round? So I'm not sure what you mean by community round, but I assume that by community round, what you mean is whether or not they can participate, in let's say like a private sale or something like before the public launch, right? So this is something that we're thinking about a lot, right? There are a lot of things to consider because right now we have investors in our round, and of course the investors, they're also very concerned about what is the amount of tokens that'll be available to the community at launch, right? Versus how many the investors are going to have. This is something that we definitely need to consider. But that said, we are actually working on something that will basically enable the early supporters, right? The IreneDao NFT holders, people who kind of support us, to actually have a stake in Soco, right? So this is something that we are working on, right? There's no confirmations yet. There are a lot of factors that we need to consider. but we are currently planning something that will give the IreneDao NFT holders a way to have a stake, a way to participate in Soco. Yep. Yep. Next question.
Anyway,
Yeah, I'm just looking at the comments from YouTube, right? Somebody says like, stop calling IreneDao a proof of concept, because it's not a proof of concept. Okay, I'll just make a comment on this. IreneDao is a proof of concept for SoCo, right? So we started IreneDao as an example of what would happen if we give creators the power of NFTs to govern their communities, right? To kind of make money from that, right? This was the concept that we were trying to prove, and IreneDao was like the project that we used to do it. So this is a proof of concept for the core thesis of SoCo. And the idea of SoCo is basically to allow more creators, all creators, right, including those from Web 2, people who don't know what blockchain is, people who don't know how to write smart contracts. All of these people can create their own versions of IreneDao, right? So this is so this is basically what we're trying to do over here, and that's what I mean by IreneDao is a proof of concept to the core thesis of SoCo. Yeah. Sorry, can we get the questions back again? So can we get the questions back? Yeah. Yeah. Can we show not the not just only the appropriate ones? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing some people comment about the IreneDao Ghazali collab, right? This one, I think there are a few factors, right? So firstly, we're still negotiating with Ghazali's team. So we're still negotiating how it's actually gonna do what's actually gonna happen, whether or not Irene is gonna fly over, right? This is one thing that we're considering. So we cannot promise anything right now. Second is also subject to the DAO members, right? So first they have to approve the vote. Second is that we need to kind of have a discussion with the DAO to kind of understand how they want this collection to be, right? In the end, it's going to be decided by the DAO and also by Ghazali's team. Okay, yeah, I've already answered the question about the whitelisted for community round. So maybe let's go to the next one. Yeah, so what are the benefits of holding IreneDao NFT? First, if you look at holding the IreneDao NFT, basically the IreneDao members, they get to decide how they spend the funds, right? Whether or not they want to give it to charity, whether or not they want to use it for projects like the collaboration with Ghazali. Like basically what they want to do is up to them, right? And by holding an IreneDao pass, an IreneDao NFT, you get to participate in this process. You're going to decide what's the next steps for IreneDao. Right, so that's the first benefit of that. I think in the future, what IreneDao does, whether or not they participate in projects, whether or not they get involved with SoCo, I think all of these things, in the end, it's going to be up to the DAO. It's of course also going to be up to us whether we see whether this is something that we can work on. But of course, this is up to the DAO, and that's the beauty of it, right? Like Lip EVM mentioned just now, it's all about this kind of like random moments that sprout out. Today we have Ghazali, maybe like another day we have another meme, and IreneDao is super into this meme, right? These are the things that as a pass holder you get to participate in this decision making, right? On what you want this thing to be. And I think what basically you get to decide what IreneDao is all about, right? If you want IreneDao to be about memes, you can do that, right? If you want IreneDao to be about about more utility, you want IreneDao to get involved with SoCo. This is something that of course, being an IreneDao pass holder, you get to vote, right? So yeah. So yeah, maybe I'll just wait for Irene to join back. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So so I think that's like, so Irene, you want to talk about the IreneDao. I mean, another benefit of IreneDao, of course, is that Irene is inside it, right? And of course, if let's say, I think for some people who are genuine fans of Irene, like just being part of a community and getting to have this kind of interaction with her through a DAO is also something that's really a core utility of IreneDao. Yeah. Irene, I can't hear you at all. Yeah, no, cannot hear you at all. Yeah. Okay, can hear you now. No, I think
Anyway, guys,
Okay.
My internet was pretty bad, so probably I leave first and let Josh and Ben answer all your questions. And I will do maybe another AMA soon with you guys after we collect all the questions. Like this one is pretty much like just show you guys, I'm not really a dude, and just give you guys an introduction to Ben, to Josh, and to all those have helped IreneDao to become really, I would say, a pretty successful project. So probably I need to leave soon. Hope you guys have a good day. Yeah, bye bye. See you soon. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. All right, Josh, are you gonna join? Josh, you wanna jump on? Hey, hi, Josh.
Hello, everyone. I fell asleep. I set an alarm for 5 hours of rest time, and you know what? I woke up at 10:30 a.m. So what do you do when Irene calls you? Though you wake up. I'm not sure what's happened the last 30 minutes, but it seems like we've been having a great, very productive time in here. I'm excited for us to do this on Twitter eventually, but I'm excited to talk a little bit about the experience so far and what I'm excited about because this is real. Like this is happening. Guys.
Yeah. All right. Maybe I'll let Josh share his standpoint first, because just now you heard from me, you heard from Lip, you heard from Irene, our sides of the story. Maybe Josh, you want to talk about your side of the story?
Yeah. So I mean, this really just started off by me joining a Discord server. So I know that every single person here is in some way fascinated by what's happening with Web3. I actually wrote a Twitter thread about this where I talk about how everyone in Web3 is kind of playing this coordination game. And something that I found particularly interesting about everything that's happening is that this all started by a group of individuals who jumped into this Discord server and were just like interested in helping out. And so for me, I had started off and wanted to, honestly, like I thought it was funny. I had joined this Discord server as soon as Lib popped it on Twitter. Here's the alpha. You always keep your post notifications on for the right anons. You should also start an anonymous account so that you can get the best signal to noise ratio. So I joined this Discord and I started seeing like the best anons in here. And I'm like, yo, like, this is interesting. Like, this is really interesting. And it starts getting more and more real as I start seeing like, okay, there's like some other people in here. Who's this burb guy? Like, what is this? Like, what is actually happening? It really started off by me joining, understanding that it was real from like my perspective of like kind of looking at it through a venture framework. And then after I start being like, okay, I want to help this. Just put yourself out there and like try to help people, because the thing is the beginning stages of this project were just it moved really quickly, but it moved so quickly where if you had joined in the first 3 hours of this being out, you could have helped out a lot doing simple things, just like learning how to code Discord bots. Guys, it's really not that hard what I did. All you have to do is just learn how to, press simple buttons and go in and drop some comments. From there, it comes down to learning how to shit post effectively, understanding the kind of diction and tone that's used within Web3. I think one of the big things about Twitter that, went well is that, we were being a little bit like, we were having fun with it. I definitely was not taking like a Web2 marketing kind of approach. Something that I have identified, in my background as a growth hacker is that, the pages on Twitter or the pages on TikTok rather, that are doing well are the ones that, are commenting from other pages and they're like, oh, like ratio, or they're commenting funny stuff, or they're just being out of pocket. That's something that I had seen, and it's something that is kind of a core tenet of Web3 that makes me particularly excited. I think that I go to an Ivy League university, and I thought it was really interesting to see how, as you kind of go deeper down this Web3 rabbit hole, you start seeing people who don't really care so much about like how much money you have, what school you went to, did you go to a private high school? You start getting to a place where it's all about the coordination game and how well you play it. You know, are you an MEV searcher? Are you able to growth hack? Like, do you understand a certain industry very well? You know, once you start playing these games, you're actually assessed on a level that, you know, does not care about credentialism, which is why this is such an interesting game to me, and why I've just realized that, you know, if you can figure out the kind of mindset that is taken by an individuals within a group, and then to a certain degree, like mimic, you can do a lot of crazy things within Web3. Jimmy talks about this, but it all comes down to the mimetic theory, where basically it's like, if you and I both assess value to something, there's a greater chance of someone else essentially looking at that and saying, okay, well, based on his status and his status and her status, this has to be something serious, right? I mean, this is how rounds are raised in venture capital all the time. And so I think that, you know, like, you guys are watching this live stream. This happened because, you know, like mimetic theory, like you saw enough likes on our early Twitter posts, and, you know, that page is getting to 10K followers. IreneDao is getting to 10K followers in the next week. So keep an eye on that.
Did an amazing job. Josh, you never talked about how you joined SoCo in the end.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so it started off by me talking to, you know, started with Lib, and it starts to me talking to like everyone else kind of like in the Discord. And I'd noticed your name just kept popping up and popping up. And I was like, okay, like, is this like, who is this? And so I just DM'd. And I'd been trying to get onto the radar of like, I guess, core team. I messaged Irene because I first was like, okay, you got to get real value back to the holders of these NFTs. Obviously, I'd known that like this experiment was going to be run by conscious individuals. So I knew that the people who are working on IreneDao were working on something with SoCol. The point was like, how could we turn this experiment into one where people were actually getting value out of this club? And so like I hit up Irene and I was like, hey, like, this is me. I DM'd her from Scania and I was like, yo, like, can we get like 5 minutes of time? I don't think she responded. And then I started DMing you. And I was like, okay, like this is starting to work together very well now. And I wish she was still on the call because I want her to talk about like, this really just started because like we just started playing this coordination game. And I mean, now it's kind of crazy that like we're constantly telegramming, and Irene is, you know, I'm like working with Irene now. I mean, this started off with just me kind of being open-minded. And now that we're here, I'm getting a job at SoCol. Like, it's really exciting to me. Long story short, I jumped into the project and I wanted to contribute however I could. I did what I do best, and, you know, I started shit posting and I started pumping in Discords. I shared it in a bunch of different groups that are relevant in the depths of the world. The Bridgers know what I do. And I just started getting it out there. I think what happens in Web3 is that you want it to go organically, but you also, to a certain degree, have to have an in-group mentality. One of the smartest things that I ever read on Web3 Twitter is that, you know, you have to have, for mimetic theory to happen naturally, you need to have an individual to look up to for a group, which is why it's so important, you know, that SoCol is able to have an individual like Irene kind of being a visionary on the side of marketing and branding, where we're able to look at her and say, like, she is the one who came up with this grand experiment that we're creating. You know, I mean, I'm sure we're going to talk at length about what the vision for SoCol is, but really that's what we're creating here. We're creating a future where we're going to be able to own a piece of the platform. I think like there's this whole we're not scared of being on like Twitter or like these other Web 2 centric platforms. But there's something very unique that happens when you bring together this nascent form of distribution that is all things NFTs. I think that what we're really trying to get everyone to understand, and like what I hope to do as head of growth at SoCol, is get people to understand that Web3 is not simply just NFTs. It's being able to have a community, getting them to kind of unite around shared interests, whether it's in a creator, it may be in something that you believe in with a creator. I mean, I sent you that tweet earlier, Ben, where we could make it so we are just simply enabling these coordination games to happen at the level of every single person that we bring onto the platform. Like hundreds of people have been DMing me asking, hey, like, this has inspired me. This is low key, but someone's DMing me asking if I can help them with a fork of an IreneDao. And it's honestly inspiring. It's people who are typically called normies have been really asking, like, IreneDao is inspiring me. And I think that people can talk about what the positives and negatives of what IreneDao has done are, but when you look at it in a macro view, I think people are starting to realize that social NFT DAOs can help you unite people in ways that we simply have never seen, and that's why I'm so bullish on SoCol and so bullish on the space of social NFTs.
Yeah. So basically, Josh did such a great job that myself and Irene, we have no choice but to offer him a job to kind of help out at SoCol. I think you basically seen how Josh is able to kind of see the vision, and basically kind of execute it and get so many people to kind of see the same vision as us as well. All right. So anyway, in the interest of time, I think we have to go back to the questions, right? So we can actually answer some questions for the people. Can we bring the questions up again? All right. So actually, what's the let me just read this out. So actually, what's the main purpose to start SoCo and IreneDao? Still don't get it. If can, I hope that you can separately explain the differences between the two projects. So I explained this before. I'm going to explain it very quickly again. So SoCo was the initial platform, right? Irene and I, the two of us, we had this vision, right, of using to enable Web2 creators to take advantage of the Web3 technologies like NFTs, right, to kind of start their own communities. SoCo is basically like a decentralized version of OnlyFans, Patreon, Discord, Twitch, right? But it's like more than that, because you have your NFTs, it kind of have more sentimental value. And like what we've seen in IreneDao, right? This gives people more ownership of the community. So SoCo itself is a platform to help all creators, right, including Web2 creators, to start their communities similar to IreneDao. But the thing was that, we kind of have this theory, we had this vision, but we don't know if this thing is actually going to work, right? A lot of the investors who are kind of skeptical, will people actually use this? Do you think that it's going to work? Because there's so many people who have done before social tokens, right? They've done like Web3 social, all of these projects, they never really got traction. So IreneDao is kind of like I'm going to say again, right? IreneDao is kind of like a proof of concept to the core thesis of SoCo, right? Where we kind of prove it out, we kind of prove that this concept actually works, right? And Irene herself, she volunteered to be like the guinea pig of this thing, right? Putting herself out there, creating the IreneDao to kind of test this concept. So Josh, you wanna chip in?
Yeah, I think that what just happened was, I mean, we know it, investors know it. We just solidified the proof of concept for, we can call it many things. We can call it sim to earn, simfy. But really what we just proved is like people will want to coordinate around Web3 identities, whether they're natively Web3 or not, because, in Web3, you can literally simp to earn. You can follow a creator, be a part of their platform, and watch them grow. Look, besides looking at this, like the cash grabs that are inevitably going to come out, if you find a creator that is going to make it and you buy their first collection of 10 NFTs, it is valuable. It is very valuable. I think there's a lot of animosity about like, how do you deploy a token one of the things that we're going to be aiming to do at SoCol is create the most user-friendly experience that reduces the barriers to people being able to launch collections like this. You should not be only able to get into the world of Web3 if you have a shadowy supercoder by your side. You know, really what this is we're trying to create something that changes Web3 as it currently is, which is a game that is being played by fewer individuals than we need to have in order to, you know, get past that adoption curve. That's why I think that working in consumer social is something that I'm particularly excited about, because I know Jay Bhavnani is very bearish on Web3 consumer social. Right. I mean, like, it rightfully so. It is very difficult. But the thing is that it is what helps bring on the next wave. And I think that we're going to be able to get a lot done here.
Yep. All right, let's go to the next question. The next question: will IreneDao holders be whitelisted for Soco's partnering KL drops if other KLs decide to use Soco as an NFT launchpad? Look, as in, like, with regards to, you know, the partnership between IreneDao and Soco, right? This has a lot of factors, right? Firstly, it depends on you know, whether or not at Soco we have to discuss with, you know, the stakeholders, the investors, on like what's the kind of partnerships that we can have with IreneDao. Second is that IreneDao itself, you know, it's you know, it's a community, right? In the end, we have to get people to kind of vote, and by holding an IreneDao pass, you get to participate in these kind of decisions, right? So I think it, like, you know, whether or not we can do this, like, can IreneDao do this, can IreneDao do that, or whatever, you know, it's not something to ask us. If you want IreneDao to do something, contribute in the community, right? Buy a pass and vote, right? Make proposals and kind of vote over there. Yeah. Yeah, maybe we can just go to the next question. The next question, I mean, can we get we can just skip this one. Yeah. All right, next question. Maybe Josh, you want to take this one?
This is a really good question. I think that, oh man. So I asked Irene yesterday. I'm not allowed to leak privileged information about SoCol just yet. But let me just say, having worked in consumer social, I actually started off my journey in entrepreneurship after my first year at Penn. I started a dating app. I've been around Figma wireframes. Nothing got me as excited for what's happening when you know, Ben added me to the Notion and the Discord and the Slack, and specifically the Figma, where I got a chance to see what exactly this platform is. Let me say, you know, I've been around the Web3 social venture space, and so I've seen what's out there right now for the apps that have been released. And let me say, I've never seen anything like what we're about to be releasing. I cannot be more excited for the testnet. Why should you use SoCol? I mean, the simplest way for you to coordinate a game, or like you've seen with IreneDao. Let me just say, I have noticed certain things that are a little hard to do, specifically with the tools that we were able to use. I think that Discord is still a tool that's going to be used by a lot of these communities. But when you look at it, like, SoCol will help you, I mean, deploy your token. SoCol will help you have a home for the members of your community. And this is something that I plan to be talking with Ben on a lot. Like, there's this third part where it's like, let's go beyond that. Jared Dicker over from TCG actually released a thread yesterday, or maybe 2 days ago, I don't know, where he talks about, let me read it out for you actually. It's an interesting thread that says, feels like a big Web3 unlock will be taking all of these incentive experiments used for coordination, DAOs, and commerce, NFTs, of collectibles, and leveraging them for good. Climate, government, and philanthropy. When I look at what I'm trying to get here and implement into our product thinking is thinking, how do we allow people to coordinate the biggest positive sum games that actually are fun and feel good for the world? I mean, that there are a lot of criticisms for all that's happening in Web3. And I think that I want to be positively adding to the space. And so when I say like what we're trying to turn SoCol into the best tool possible, let's just say like you as a creator will be happy because your fans will be happy that they're able to so seamlessly, without even feeling like it's an incredibly Web3 platform, join your community and have a financial stake in everything that you're doing, but also an emotional stake because you're going to be allowing them to join in your journey, whether you're interested, you know, in like human rights or whether you're interested in the environment, whatever it may be. I mean, we're constantly going to be talking about what are we going to use the treasury funds that we have in the multi-sig. I think in the same token, no pun intended, we want to be allowing every creator to be doing that. I personally have played around with some of the DAO tools, and you know, I think it's great, but there's a play to be had by a platform play such as this. And yeah, why should you use it? So you don't have to jump around to 15 platforms. I mean, we're trying to create the best, most expansive tool, and you're gonna like it.
Yeah, I'll just add one more thing about the technology, right? So if you think about all the Web2 platforms we use today, right? Twitter, we look at Instagram or whatever. Nobody really asks like, what's the database behind Twitter? What is the technology behind Twitter? But when we come to the blockchain space, right? People always think that, oh, you need to learn how to use MetaMask. You need to understand what are contracts. You need to understand smart contracts. You need to understand gas fees. You need to understand bridging from layer 1 to layer 2. There are so many things that are really complicated, right? I think good technology, especially if you want to get to the mass market, right? The average Instagram user, they're not going to understand all of these things, right? And I think one of the core features of SoCo is that for all of these users, of course, if you're a power user, you know how to use MetaMask, you are like experienced crypto user, you can continue having full control, right, over all of it. Ultimately, it's to the blockchain, right? But for the new users, how can we actually give them the best experience? And I think this is something that SoCo really focuses on, where they don't need to actually learn about what is blockchain. They don't need to actually use gas fees and all of these things to be able to get access to creating their own NFTs and creating their own DAOs. Yep. All right, next. Yeah, so I'll just go to the next question. What makes you start IreneDao and SoCo? I think I already answered this. Maybe let's just move on so we can answer other questions. IreneDao and SoCo serve globally or specific area only. So obviously, there's nothing stopping us from being like a global thing, right? In the end, it's a blockchain, and I think it's a blockchain app, and anybody can just join, right? Right now we have it. I'll say this, right? Right now we have an English version, but we're looking to expand to other languages, right? Specifically, you know, like Chinese. We have a huge Chinese community that wants to actually participate in this. So Chinese is probably going to be one of the languages that we're looking at. We're also looking at some other geographies that we're looking to, you know, like specially localized for. Yep. Next question. Yeah, so SoCo and IreneDao project, how did the project benefit the people? No doubt you are very visionary with ideas and projects created. Okay, so I think for SoCo, I think Josh already made a very good point about like why should creators use it and how does this benefit the people, right? Benefits both the creators and also the people, and also for even a greater cost. For IreneDao, I think the key thing is this, right? We basically this concept basically helped to prove what the creator economy, what the future of the creator economy could possibly be, right? We actually kind of prove this concept, and now people are kind of open to this, like, oh, so this is how creators can actually get paid, right? In the past, if let's say you are a super influencer, right? Like even Irene herself, right? Even though she had 300,000+ followers, the only way she really could make money was by doing ads, right? By taking ads from all of these brands. Sometimes they ask her to promote a product that she doesn't really use, or they ask her to do a dance as part of a campaign. And you know, these kind of things are the only way that it actually gonna make money. Right now, we're looking at, you know, the great resignation, where a lot of people are actually quitting their jobs. And if you look at, you know, right now, more children want to be YouTube stars than astronauts, right? This is like something that people want to do, right? People look up the YouTube stars, they want to be creators, right? People are quitting their jobs and they're looking at like, how can I actually make content creation my full-time job? So I think we are not really fixing the problem of Instagram. I think people have no problem getting famous, or, you know, like TikTok especially, right? TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. I think the question is that, look, I really enjoy creating content on Instagram, on TikTok, or whatever, right? How do I make this into a full-time career? I think SoCo is actually going to be a really good way for people to actually monetize this and actually turn this into, like, you know, a full-time career. Yeah. Yeah, what's the relationship between IreneDao and SoCo? I think we already answered this. Do you plan to mint the next generation of NFTs? Like I said, right, all of this is it will be up to the community to decide. Yeah. When Palm, this one I'm not going to answer it. What's the difference between Soco and Patreon OnlyFans? Okay, so this is a good question, right? So the first thing is in terms of what you actually get when you spend your money, right? When you spend money on Soco, you actually have a kind of subscription and membership, right? You buy the tokens, and these tokens are kind of like membership tokens. They kind of exchange for your membership to let's say like this specific community and things like that. Right. So this in that sense is kind of similar, but that's where the similarities end, right? It's basically it's a way for people to earn stable recurring income from their fans. The key difference is this: when you spend money on Patreon or OnlyFans, the first thing is that let's say you unsubscribe. All you've done is that you have lost money, right? When you pay money, when you subscribe to Patreon or OnlyFans, all you get is a receipt, right? That tells you how much money they have spent. Over here, when you buy something on Soco, when you buy these social collectibles, which are then spent for like membership or whatever, all of these items, they belong to you, right? Because in the end, they're kind of NFTs, right? And you can actually have sentimental value. Maybe this is a post that you saw when you first followed this creator. You kind of have a personal relationship, like you kind of feel like you have sentimental value towards a certain post, right? This actually means a lot more. On top of that, right, Soco is also enabling more business models, right? Patreon OnlyFans is really just a traditional model where you pay money for content. You pay like let's say a membership, and then you get access to exclusive content. As Josh has mentioned before, right? Soco is opening a whole new variety of ways where creators and communities can interact, right? You can do exactly what Patreon OnlyFans is doing, but you can do a lot more than that, right, on Soco. Yeah. I think basically I think that's basically it. Josh, you want to chip in? I think we have like maybe time for one more question after this.
I do want to point out the next question here that's talking about how active Irene will be. I will say, guys, Irene is a C-suite level executive at this company that is raising from tier 1 investors within Web3 crypto venture. And quite honestly, I think that she's been interacting in the Discord a lot. And I will say I will be the champion of all the holders. I've been very lucky to have been able to play this role within the community. And I think that I plan to, continue being the bridge between all that's happening with Irene and the holders of this collection. And I think that I'm going to try to get her to be sending content in the chat as much as possible. That said, I think that she's been very, very good so far.
Yep. All right. I guess that's the last question that we can take. One more thing. I'll just touch on Josh's point, right? Josh was saying that we just raised from tier 1 investors, and that's indeed the case. We're currently preparing the announcement to talk about the investment. But unfortunately, Cointelegraph kind of leaked 4 of our investors, so I would just announce it again over here. When they interviewed us, I think they just put that in, and they didn't know that we haven't done an announcement. But fortunately, they only leaked half of our cap table. So I'm just gonna announce those that they already leaked. So Animoca Brands is one of our co-lead investors. The other co-lead investors is Defiance Capital. The other 2 that they leaked was 3 Arrows Capital and Mechanism Capital. So these 4 have already been leaked. You can kind of like stay tuned. I will be releasing the full seed investor lineup. Yeah. All right. I guess that is about it. That's about it for today. Thanks everybody for joining this. This is AMA, and thanks for all of your questions. I think for those people who want to kind of like see Irene in live stream, I mean, Irene has done many live streams before, but I don't know why. I mean, because now, especially with IreneDao, people are especially keen on seeing Irene on live stream. Yeah, so we had that, and yeah, just wanted to
Wait,
share,
really quickly.
Yeah.
First off, I want to say that I think that crypto Twitter is gonna blow up, realizing that this is real, that Irene is actually real. But I do want to say thank you everyone for being here. There are some things that you should keep an eye out for on Twitter beyond the shit posts that are going to be really dank. Keep an eye out on officially talking about the seed cap table. And then we do have a lot more planned in terms of really showing what's going on. We will be revealing more of the roadmap, not only for the DAO, but also for SoCol itself. And a big thing that we're working towards right now is our testnet launch, which will be happening on January 21st. And so, you know, as many of you know, within Web3, testnets will be incentivized. And so I think keep an eye, you know.
We'll be looking for, you know, our initial testnet users, and you guys will get to see, you know, this really exciting UI that Josh has been talking about in the testnet. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining this live stream. And see you guys around next time. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.